welcome back to another Transformers ASMR figure review. Now, today I've actually decided to shake up the usual formula because first we'll be taking a look at the packaging of this figure. But the figure we're going to be looking at today is the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition Optimus Prime. So before we get started into the figure, this time we're going to take a look at the packaging. So we have this awesome looking render of War for Cybertron Optimus. You can see up there, Transformers War for Cybertron. He is number 3 in the Gamer Edition line with this lovely little silver. Almost makes it look like a premiere figure. We've got a lovely render of Optimus there. Come to the back with some artwork of the figure. If I just raise it up there, big screen inspired, scale, detail and backdrop. And this displays the K-On prison break. Transforms in 22 steps, comes with a backdrop, which I will be showcasing in this video too. It says here, Optimus Prime enacts a plan to be captured by the Decepticons in an effort to save Zeta Prime. So this ties in with the War for Cybertron video game, and the figure just looks fantastic. Look at the artwork and the renders of it, it looks spectacular. So as for the packaging, we'll hold that off to the side for the time being, and we'll get stuck right in to the vehicle mode. So this figure is a very different take on Optimus. It is a Cybertronian kind of armored truck. It almost looks a bit like an APC, but it's not got a lot of paint on it. I think there are a few bits on the figure that are painted, but overall it's just this really nice sheen of plastic. You've got some lovely silver on these, I hesitate to say windshield pieces, and this front bumper, some nice silver rims on the tires, and some red highlights, almost like red energon for the Autobots. The smokestacks just picked out in grey plastic and painted. Yeah, his fists are kind of hanging out here at the back, but honestly, everything else looks perfect, so I don't really get why people are fussing about what's at the back of the figure. And as for the wheels, yeah, he rolls pretty well, just this table doesn't represent it best. So for the vehicle mode, I think it looks fantastic. I always like this design from the game in particular because I felt that it really just showed an alien set of designs for the Transformers, and especially with Optimus Prime, it was familiar but different. I love it. So let's get stuck into the transformation. So first, what I like to do is just take these little panels and flip them open, and just leave them there for the time being. Come around and do the same on the other side. Take this part here, flip it up, and then what we're going to want to do is disengage the arms from the legs, bend them up like so, and take these arms and just bring them down so that they are oriented like such. Next, what you're going to want to do is just take the feet, flip them down, and take this part, and that will form the front of the legs. And then what you're going to do is just come to the back, take these wheels, unpick them, and flip them into a soft peg into place. There we go. And just take these parts and bring the smokestack down with the exhaust. I think it's a smokestack, but bring them in and take the legs, straighten them out, rotate the waist, and separate them, and you have the legs all done. Now we're going to come to the top of the figure. So what we're going to do is just take these parts here and just pull them, because these are on friction joints or sliders, and you're just going to want to take this front part and lift it up, take this whole chest assembly and just soft peg it into place. Then what you're going to do is rotate the arms down like so, take this whole assembly, flip it around 180 and flip this inward, flip this up, and then close them over with the arm bits. Take the arms, Bend them down, and there you go. There you have War for Cybertron, Optimus Prime in his robot mode, and I love this design for Optimus. It's familiar but different, just like the vehicle mode, but it captures all the essential parts of Optimus, like the chest, windows, and his iconic faceplate as well as his armor. If you look at his head, I think his eyes are painted, and the plastic on this feels really high quality. It's definitely not cheaply made. It's a very good figure, and especially when you get into the accessories, it comes with all the essentials. So, as for posability, the figure can move the arms in and out that far, can rotate the full 360. Oops, that was not intentional, but yeah, this actually ties in with the figures, or the entire War for Cybertron Studio Series gimmick of having swappable weapons. But the wrist can bend up that far, legs can move up this far, and the knee has, I think, 90 degrees, so very good on the legs, and he can do a perfect prime split, because that's what Optimus needs to do. He needs to split to defeat the Decepticons. Now, on the topic of accessories, this figure comes with two main accessories. He comes with his ion blaster, which is not painted, but it is really well detailed. You can see, I think this is like a little sight line, and you've got a little notch at the end that is blast effect compatible, so you can put all different kinds of parts on it. But this is the really cool thing about the War for Cybertron characters, because if you played the games, you'll remember the character's limbs transformed into weapons. And so if you just take this little peg, there's a hole right in there, and slide it in, you can have Optimus wielding his ion blaster just like in the game. And you can get this guy into some really cool poses, but I'll save it for the end. I'll save some posing for the end. And his second accessory is his Energon axe, which he used as his melee weapon through the game, as well as being able to flip it out like such and use it to break down walls in the Chaos Prison Outbreak, which is one of my favourite set pieces of that game. God, just the whole Cybertron games, like fantastic little games, brilliant fun. If you still have them, or if you want to play them again, definitely get them secondhand, because oh boy, they are quite expensive. But that's the life of a Transformers fan. So the axe itself, I don't know, I prefer if it was more detailed and painted, in regards to this just weird yellow. Just kind of looks like someone just spray painted cheese on it. But as an accessory, it's really big and actually comes apart, so you can have smaller characters wielding it, or if you just want to have it be a shorter axe, well, you're completely free to do so. And plugging it in to Prime, if we just take that and pop it into his hand, I find it a little bit difficult just to put it in, but there we go. A little bit of resistance, but he just has this terrific looking axe that just lends itself to some brilliant posing, especially when you couple it with a gun. Like, his posing is very dynamic, especially whenever you consider the accessories he comes with, because it just enhances his overall look. Especially if you get him into a cool pose where he's got the axe and his gun. Oh, it's just superb. Like, what a figure. And in regards to the robot mode, I'll be talking about my personal experience with the game as well, just to really get the figure and my history with the game itself, because I never played the Cybertron games when they came out. But far from it, I had got them a couple of years ago from a second-hand shop, and I quickly fell in love with them. They were superb games, especially the War for Cybertron, because those games just had fantastic story. The character designs were brilliant, the world building, the atmosphere, the soundtrack, and the gameplay as well. Basically, imagine Gears of War, but with Transformers, and that was the style of gameplay that you had with this game. And I'm going to continue rambling on about the games while I transform them back, because I feel like the transformation back, a lot of people neglect to show both transformations, which I think is important, because sometimes just people like to see the whole thing. So when it comes to the Cybertron games, I'm not what people would consider, say, a long-time fan, but I'm a fan nonetheless. I have always enjoyed those games. I feel like in regards to some of the Transformers games we have nowadays, it's just, they're missing that spark that the High Moon games had. Spark, no pun intended. But oh, I just realised there was something I completely forgot to mention. Hang on. If you actually take his chest and open it up, hey, he's got a matrix of leadership. You can just remove that, and I think you could even have him replicating the light art darkest hour pose by having him actually lift the matrix from his chest, which is awesome. But I'm just going to pop that back in. There we go. Nice and secure. But back to the topic of Cybertron games. I never played much of them whenever they came out. In fact, I didn't, to be completely honest. The closest thing I got was the DS port, or the DS version, years and years ago. I remember I was terrible at it, absolute garbage. But I love that game to bits, and so much so that I even recently got it when I heard they were doing a Studio Series Gamer Edition. I just thought, do you know what, now's the time. With all the stuff about Transformers, the new movie, which was superb. I just saw it a few days ago with my little brother and one of my friends. It was superb. Loved it. Loved that movie. But I feel like when it comes to Transformers games, we just haven't been getting as good as the Cybertron games, and a lot of people would agree with me on that, because the Cybertron games are just truly special with how the combat was, the graphics, especially the music. The Fall of Cybertron was my personal favourite, but War, I think, has a better, I'd say, like, campaign structure, because you can play the levels as multiple different characters instead of just one, like in Fall of Cybertron. But Fall of Cybertron was very action-packed, very, how do I say, definitely felt like a big, proper, almost like a Transformers movie, especially with the high-stakes plot about the Autobots trying to evacuate from Cybertron, but the Decepticons very nearly stopped them. And the designs as well from those games were always just so iconic. Like, they were Generation 1, but super stylized, very almost cyberpunk. Like, you could easily look at those vehicles and just be like, what the hell are those things? But just get these last bits plugged in. There we go. There's Optimus Prime back in his Cybertronian truck form. Now, as for weapon storage, you can't really store the axe in his truck mode, but you can store his ion blaster because it pegs into these little notches right there. So just plop that in right there, and perfect. There we go. You just plug it in there, make sure everything's all squozen in, just to keep it stuck together. Like, this figure is not going to come apart on you. It's very sturdy, very well put together. But yeah, that has been my look at the Transformers Studio Series War for Cybertron Gamer Edition Optimus Prime, and I definitely recommend this figure, especially if you're a fan of the games or even just a Transformers fan in general. The Cybertron games were such an integral part of Transformers, not just in terms of the aligned continuity, but also just the overall franchise as a whole. People who weren't into Transformers played these games and became fans. They started to read other material, they started to watch the movies, even started to collect the figures. And comparing this to the original War for Cybertron Optimus, which I have in my collection, I'd say I personally prefer this one. It's a lot more fun to transform, and the accessories you get with it are really good. But that being said, this has been the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition Optimus Prime. This is Orabot ASMR signing off. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.